Compost. What is it good for? Absolutely everything. Say it again. Compost. What is it good for? Absolutely everything. Say it again. Well, I won't say it again. Welcome back to Jim Bob's Garden. So today what we're going to talk about is compost. Now, my compost pile is right here. I've showed you videos on how to do it. And I'm going to show you that this compost is not quite broken down. And you're saying to yourself, man, you got to leave that in there for a lot longer. Well, let me show you something. Hang on. We're going to get our handy dandy little sifter, which if you don't have one of these, I highly recommend making one. It's a 1/4-inch hardware cloth on the bottom with some old beat up 2x4s. Alright. Now if I take this compost, hang on, let me do a little better job here. Let's push this back. If I take this compost and run it through my sifter, I'm going to show you something neat. You will see there's some very fine, well broken down compost inside of my not so well broken down compost. Alright, so why am I telling you this? Alright, so what I want to do with my compost, put my sifter back. Alright, so I want to compost some things around the yard to give them some nutrients, particularly the smaller, younger plants. But I used up all my compost and this is all still working. So what to do? Well, I'm going to use the unfinished compost. And there's a couple of reasons. One, well, let's go put it on. I'll show you here. Let me get a bunch. And then we're going to take it over and do our tomatoes. Alright, so the plan here is I got tomatoes and I've got a little bit of my basil that's growing up in here, and I want to give them some nutrients. I basically want to fertilize them. Well, I don't use fertilizer, so my fertilizer is compost, and it's not broken down. But what should happen as we put this in, which what I'm going to do is I'm just going to toss some back here. Like so. Now, I could have left more space in between my garden, and it would have been a little bit handier to be able to get around, but then I got a little bit of wasted space. Plus, I'm trying to do that more intensive garden, with the idea being that what will happen is the bugs get a little confused by the smell of multiple plants growing in the same general vicinity. And so hopefully it'll help keep the pests down to a certain extent. Missed. And the compost, of course, will help get nutrients back into the soil as the rain washes them out and the plants use them. You want to try and get as much as you can back into the dirt. Since I used up all my compost earlier, I don't have any fully broken down compost. Now I could go buy it, but that kind of defeats the whole purpose of making my own. So we'll use this partially broken down compost, and I'm going to show you here in a second why. So give me a second, let me spread this all out, and then we'll water it in. Alright, so when I go to spread it out, you want to look, make sure you're not covering up any plants that you want. And then you make sure you can pull weeds as you go. Now I will tell you that having compost makes the dirt a lot more pliable and soft, and allows you to pull weeds a lot easier. Put it up all around my plants. My little basil here. This basil and tomatoes love each other. Now I don't really want to step on it, but I don't have a choice in this case, unless I was to reach in with a rake or come at it from a different angle. But it'll be alright. And I'll tell you why here in a second, or I'll show you here in a second. So we're just going to kind of push it around. You can also do this with a rake. I like doing it by hand. You know, I always did like to get dirty. Because I'm just a dirty old man. Yes, I am. Alright, Bree. I'm always dirty, man.
It's true. You tend to leave the most dirt trails in the house.
Yeah. Airplanes leave dirt trails, vapor trails, and I leave dirt trails, man. It's alright. If you're not dirty, you're not a gardener. That's my story, I'm sticking to it. Oh, by the way, the earlier video we did about the tomato plant, just sticking it in, look, it's growing fine. The flowers are coming out, the blooms. I'll probably have tomatoes on it. Now, some plants you may not want to pack the compost right up against, because you start to bury them and they can start to have issues. But tomato plants, you can actually keep adding dirt to tomato plants if you use up a mind to. All right. So get in here, pull my pants up. You guys want a weight loss program? We're playing the garden every day. That'll help you lose weight. These pants used to fit. Careful, my little dill plant. There we go. So now it's nice and fluffy for the most part. I'll fluff it up a little bit in the spots where I walked. There we go. Careful where I walk here. And let me grab a hose. So when I water it, the idea is that essentially what I'm doing is I'm making compost tea. So the water will percolate down and it'll carry the bacteria and the nutrients from the compost down into the soil. And then the added benefit of having the partially composted materials is that it actually leaves behind a mulch source. Once this dries out, it'll actually become a small layer right now, because I don't have a lot of this, but about an inch deep layer of mulch. Now, let me show you over here. Alright, so in this area, I did this earlier, I don't know, about 2-3 hours ago. And you can see it's already starting to kind of dry out. You still have compost in there, but as it gets rained on or as it gets watered, that'll go down in. But across the top, you see the stuff that hasn't broken down, it gets left behind, and that becomes a mulch. Alright, so just because your compost isn't done doesn't mean you can't use it. Alright, and that's my theory. Now, maybe you guys have got some other things you can tell me. And yeah, there's going to be some weed seed, there's going to be some grass seed in there. I'll have to pull some weeds. But I got news for you, a lot of weed seed you can't kill even if you get your compost up to 160 degrees and let it rot all year. It will still bring back some of the weeds. Alright, so that's how I'm using my compost. Alright, Compost. What is it good? Well, yeah, anyway. By the way, that'll be on iTunes later if you want. No, I'm just kidding. But that's how I'm using my compost. Don't let it sit in your bin, all right? You know, kids, my kids, they both make compost. One uses it, the other one, not so much. Hopefully she will, though, after seeing this video. All right, but use your compost. That's what it's there for. I mean, it's great that it gets rid of different things. Like I'm getting rid of all my table scraps. They don't go down the sewer. I get rid of all my cardboard. I get rid of papers that we have shredded up. I put almost everything in my compost. You know, we had a couple of oranges rot, which we've only had them a week, and they're already molding. But anyway, that's another story. But we had a couple of oranges rot, so they'll go in the compost along with everything else. But use your compost. It's not just to dispose of trash and kitchen waste. It's primarily to feed your garden. All right, so thanks once again for stopping by. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, and let me know what you think. And grow something.